Are you nervous?
I'm so nervous. I'm so
It's
nervous.
okay. It's okay. You're only going to be heard in about 13 countries, so it's not that
Mhm.
big of a deal.
Oh, just a little bit of pressure. Just 13 countries. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
14
all.
countries.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Today we have a good friend of mine that is a special guest joining me on my podcast. It is the
Hi.
first podcast of the year. And would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. I am Angel Embers here to talk about my music. I hope that you are doing great on this day. And thank you so much for having me, Kai. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for coming on. I did want to ask you, obviously, because I like jumping straight into it. So, what is
Mhm.
your journey as a musician? Because that is what you do. Or actually, would you mind telling everybody what you do, how long you've been doing it for, all that stuff?
Oh yeah, so for my music, because I do a few things, I like to dress up and I like to take pictures, and of course there's plant science, and my true love, my true dream is music. And right now I'm at a part of my journey where I'm delving into R&B, lo-fi, pop sort of music. But before I was actually a rock musician and spent quite a few years doing that. But overall, the journey has been very magical, and I'm really excited to see where this new project is going, because it is a new project for me and we're kind of just figuring out where it's going. The image, the music itself, it's constantly transforming.
Mm. So let's go back. When did you get started? What made you get into music? Like, what was your inspiration? What did you listen to when you first really got into what you're doing now?
Okay, so what first got me into music was just being, I think that I was born to sing actually, because as soon as I was able to really speak, or even before I was speaking, I was constantly humming and singing and creating sounds. And eventually that got into singing and then just writing music in general. But it all started when I was very, very young. And it was kind of something I did to help myself feel good, because of the vibrations of the voice, we can create a vibration that's very healing. And so that's something I had always practiced with my voice, was just making it sound good so it makes me feel good. And I would sing, I really liked pop music growing up. I always loved Britney Spears and
I
just
knew you were gonna
really
say that one.
feminine things. But I was gonna
Yeah.
say Britney Spears.
Yeah, well, yeah, everybody listened to Britney Spears or like
Of
the 90s
course.
songs, Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, all that type of stuff.
Of course, she's the queen. But yes, yeah, I loved pop, and then so I was singing a lot of that. And then growing up, I started to get into a lot of rock and metal, and I became more of a metalhead. I was really into emo music too. That was something that really transformed my music and brought me more towards rock and roll. And so when I was a teenager and my young adult years, I was playing a lot of rock music, and I had another project that was all about rock and roll. So now I've decided that this type of music, like lo-fi beats and just R&B singing, it's very relaxing. And I feel like that's something that everyone could use right now in this world. We all just need to just take a moment to breathe and gather ourselves and really tune out the chaos of the world, the chaos of the current events,
Mhm.
and you find your center with music like this that's just makes you feel good. It's relaxing. So that's kind of why I'm in this direction now. It was actually triggered from quarantine and from the state of the world. Felt that
Mm.
calling.
Talk more about
Yes.
that. So,
So
obviously, last year happened, and then around March is when everything started locking down. So, you started changing your style, or what was the idea that made you want to go into your
yes.
different style?
Okay, so I'm glad you asked that. Thank you so much for asking that, because it is a really big change that a lot of people that are my friends or that are close to me or have followed the music, that they're a bit confused about. And so whenever things changed and people were not encouraged to meet together, they were not able to really have these in-person shows or promote, because it would look bad for us to do that in a pandemic. I started to concentrate on just really creating online content. So, online recordings, I tried to make music videos, all this stuff for the rock music. But um, the music that was being produced was not coming out the way that I wanted it to. It just didn't feel right. And it wasn't coming out when I wanted it to. And so I kind of hit this slump where I lost my inspiration for music. And for a few months, I gave up on music. I no longer had the urge to play shows because of the pandemic. And then at the same time, I didn't even feel the drive to make rock music anymore. It left me. Something just left me. But recently, I met a producer that showed me the way of listening to these very relaxing beats and just putting your vocals over it, adding vocal layers and doing all sorts of effects. Recording is just a piece of art that you can create as perfect as you want or as chaotic as you want. And so I've really been throwing myself into the art of recording and taking this direction because it's so much easier for me to make music when the beats are already there and they're accessible rather than working with a lot of people and having to create something out of nothingness with a guitar.
Mm,
So this has actually inspired me to feel happy again and to be able to create freely and quickly because it just flows naturally. So that's kind of why I'm in this direction. It's more than just how good the music makes you feel. It's also about just how inspiring it is for myself to want to create and to want to keep going with this train of
mhm.
energy. So
So what
thanks for
would you say
asking that,
are,
Kai. I am loving these
of course.
questions.
I'm glad you do. What would you say are the differences
Yeah.
between, like, for example, playing on stage, doing rock music, or doing what you do now? Because I'm guessing, are you trying to do like more solo, just you, and then like you said, the audio behind you, or what is the,
Yes.
yeah, go on.
Oh, so yes, I am trying to do more solo stuff because I have my own pace. I work in a very strange way, and it's I don't know. I'm so sorry. Can you ask me the
Sure.
question again so I can answer it?
Yeah. What is the main differences? Because you've played on stage now for you played obviously a few shows. I did want to talk a little bit about your band as well. Are you still with the band Astro Alchemy? I believe that's what it's called, or has that gone away, or
Yes.
what's the deal with that?
Well, Astro Alchemy, since we're stating the name, Astro Alchemy was my original rock project. So before I had other members, it was my solo project. And throughout the years, as I've been rewriting and writing the music to be more precisely what I want it to be for the world to learn from, the more I accumulate and I meet people that work with me, work with the music. They go as they please, they come and go. But right now, I am kind of I'm having a hiatus with Astro Alchemy so I can concentrate on this new music. But it's always going to be there. It's always going to be a place for my rock music, and it's a completely different genre. And so I'm kind of keeping them separated right now. And hopefully, whenever the world gets back to a place where it's okay to promote music and okay to promote these big gatherings, then I would love to just play shows again. But another good thing too is that with this type of music, I don't have to um, there isn't as much labor behind carrying all your gear. You have to carry those huge amplifiers, your guitars, all
Mm,
your speakers and stuff. So I don't have to worry about that anymore. That's pretty cool. And of course, I don't have to sweat as much because it is a workout when you're on stage. I remember that I would put on these elaborate makeup looks and have this elaborate fashion, and then I would get on stage, do my thing. I'd come off, and it would look like I was wearing corpse paint, where there's just like blood looking stuff just running down my face onto my shirt. And I mean, it was very metal, but it's nice to be able to just do this sort of thing,
mhm.
just be the person behind the recording. And eventually I hope to have music videos too.
So, what are some other differences when you're on stage doing rock music towards what you're doing now? What are the other differences? Obviously, beside looking like the way you do after a rock show, what other differences
Mhm.
would you say so far are between your rock music on stage and you singing solo?
So another difference too is of course the dynamic of other people being involved, because once you share your music with those other people, then they put their input in and it transforms the music. And it could be completely different than how you originally wanted it to be. Or so much time can pass between the times that people put in their input that you no longer feel that fire you did when you first created the song. So that's another thing too, is that working at my with myself, I can work at my own pace. If I have this idea, I just want to get it out, all of a sudden I can just go to the studio, lay it down, get out all that emotion, and manifest a song that is the true embodiment of what I want it to sound like. So that's one other difference between working with a group of people and in a real life setting versus working in like a little workshop by yourself, doing the recordings. So that is one thing too. That's really nice.
So who are
Um,
your influences? Like you said that growing up you listened to obviously Britney Spears. I don't think she was the influence on you, was she? On your music and stuff?
I actually, there is a line in one of my songs where I sing kind of like how she does, and I think "Hit Me, Baby, One More Time,"
Mm,
something like that. So I do have some influences from her, but mostly my influences, they vary. I like all sorts of singers, but mostly I just listen to girl singers. I'll listen to metal singers. Like In This Moment is one of my biggest inspirations. I love pop
mm,
music, so I like a lot of Ariana Grande. I love Beyonce. I love Rihanna. I love just like the mainstream pop culture people. I love. It's so hard. Oh, I love Ash Nico. So if she sees this, I love you so much, and you're kawaii.
alright.
Yeah, yeah.
So what about like live shows? So what was your first live show? And I guess who are the artists that like when you went to go see them, you're like, damn, I want to be this is what I want to do. Like they inspire me to do better with what I do. They inspire me to put on a better stage performance, to look better, to go into fashion more. Like, have you had any of those moments? And if so, who were those artists that inspired us?
Yes.
Because we're gonna talk about your look next, obviously. So,
Oh, okay. All right. So, the person that comes to mind when I think about the two inspiring concerts that I've seen. So I haven't seen a lot of concerts, but I have seen some of my favorites, and one of them was Marina and the Diamonds, and she came to Houston. I went with my best friend, and she doesn't dress very avant-garde or like super kawaii or something like this, but she has her own sophisticated fashion. And mostly what inspired me from her performance was she had this goddess ethereal energy that was just, she commanded the room. And whenever she would move and when she would sing, it would encourage you to feel so many different things. But I loved seeing that. That was definitely a big inspiration for me because I believe she's pretty much self-made. So to see her travel from overseas to come here and to perform with synchronized dancers and with all these beautiful stage lights, that was something that really inspired me, um, with how my stage presence would be. I haven't seen this performer in real life, but in this moment, they have music videos on YouTube of their live performances that I've seen. So I've never seen them in concert, but she was a really big influence on my stage performance with Astro Alchemy. And then the best concert that I've ever been to was I saw Queen live with Adam Lambert. He he is such an intense singer that he is truly my inspiration when it comes to the vocals because he can belt it out, he can be sensual, he can be powerful, and he
mhm.
has amazing fashion. He's literally the embodiment of amazing. So
Wow, that's pretty awesome. So I gotta ask this because I do have a lot of
yeah.
friends that grew up during the emo era, listening to that type of music. You said
Yes.
that did that have any
Yes.
influences on you, or what were some of your favorite emo
The
bands?
Oh, yes. So in the emo era, my favorite band of all time is My Chemical Romance. Um,
Yeah.
I cannot, I mean, I actually spent $1,000 on a plane ticket to go to New Zealand last year to see them whenever they had their reunion tour. And that got canceled. And they also, I had to postpone my trip for another year because of the COVID thing. So
Mm,
that's great to work with. I don't know if they're going to do any more concerts, but yes, My Chemical Romance is my favorite emo band of all time. I
mm,
also love Paramore. There's quite a few other people I like. The Used. I think Circus Survive is considered one,
Mhm.
but I feel like Gerard Way was a very big influence on my vocals in Astral Alchemy because he just had that very, just the way that he pronounced things and the way that he would almost scream when he sang. It was very visceral and it was punk, but it was also emo. I loved it so much, and I would kind of emulate his vocals whenever I would go on stage, and that's how I would pronounce things and perform.
So
Yeah.
you never
What
got
about
to
you?
see him live?
What's your favorite? I never got to see him live, and it tears me apart all the time.
I saw them.
So Gerard
I
Way,
saw them once. I saw them once. Yeah. They were on.
you saw them?
Yeah, I did. I saw them at. They were performing with Muse. It was in Houston, and I mean, it was an awesome show. I'm glad I did because I actually wasn't supposed to go. I got my tickets like last minute through another friend of mine who canceled, so I ended up having to go with a good friend of mine, and we had an awesome time. So I'm glad I got to see them. Yeah.
Whoa, you're so lucky. I
Yeah.
wish I could see them perform. Ah, that's so crazy. Good for you, though.
Yeah, and then I guess I had heard that when they started the reunion tour, that some people were like buying the tickets and then reselling them for like $500 or $1,000, something like that. Was that true, or did you get yours? Yeah, how did you get yours?
Oh yeah, my friend actually bought mine for me,
Hmm.
but we had to stay on the little Ticketmaster website and just refresh over and over and over again. And
Yeah.
basically, someone forfeited their tickets, and we swooped in and we grabbed them, but they were only for 100 something dollars for the seats. But I have heard about that these concerts they sell out super fast because robots are buying the tickets, and then I think then they're doing the scalping where they sell them for much
Hmm.
higher, and I think that's ridiculous. It's not fair
Yeah.
for people who are actually fans who would do anything to see them perform.
I hate that
But
too
it
because
is
it's
what it
like
is.
one of the things that I dislike so much is just everything has become so much about money instead of the art itself. Like, I think if
Hmm.
if your favorite musician is selling your tickets for like $50, you should be able to pay 50 fucking dollars and see your favorite artist, not do what people are
Right.
doing now and have to pay $100 or $500 just because, they're trying to make some profit off of it. Or like with the PS5s, I heard they're doing the same thing with the PS5s and shit. Which you're a gamer, right?
Yes, I am a gamer.
Yeah.
I love
Did
video games.
you're a Twitch affiliate, is that correct?
Yes, I am. And yes, my Twitch account name is Rainbow Priestess. So that is where I do my gaming and my streaming. And I like to dress up and I wear my little cosplay looks and just have a good time talking to my friends.
So how did you get into that? Were you always gamer, or was there something that happened and you got into it? And I gotta ask, obviously, what are your favorite games? So if you want to start with that one, and then tell me how you got into gaming.
Sure, okay. So my favorite game of all time is Skyrim, and I'm very stubborn about that. I tell everyone my favorite game is Skyrim, and I actually have a Skyrim tattoo. I don't know if you can see it. There it is. I have a Skyrim tattoo because I'm that much of an obsessed fan over it, and I'm still waiting. Bethesda, where's the next Elder Scrolls? Okay, but but yeah, so I love that. I really love Borderlands. I love Minecraft. I love to play Pokemon games. All the Pokemon games they're all really really good. Even Hey You Pikachu, and I like to play Super Smash Brothers and I'm trying to think of other ones. I really will try anything. Ooh, I really liked Luigi's Mansion, the third one. That was really good actually. And yeah, so getting into video games, I've always played video games. My brothers and I, we are one of those households where we were raised on it really, it would keep
Mhm.
us out of trouble. Our mom would just get us a Nintendo and throw us into the corner, and then there you go, you have a babysitter. So we
Yeah.
were raised on playing video games all the time, and just growing up it became another thing, kind of like singing, where it helps me relax, it helps me feel good, just like it does for everyone else. And yeah, just during quarantine, that's whenever I started up the Rainbow Priestess streaming because I was playing video games all the time. I never left the house. I was trying to be a good girl. And yeah, I just got into streaming. I thought it was really fun and people loved it. So
Mm,
I haven't streamed in a while, but I'm going to get back into it now that I have this awesome setup that you
mhm.
can see here. Well, I guess you can't really see, but I'm looking at it. So what about you? What kind of video games do you like, Kai?
I guess I had first started. I got into gaming with Sega Genesis, and then from there it was like
Ooh,
the original games like Sonic, the first one, and the second one, and then Mortal Kombat, the first one, and the second one, and after that I think was Super Nintendo. I think they came out around the same time. I'm not sure. I forgot. But I wasn't really ever a Nintendo fan that much. I was always a
oh,
PlayStation, like PlayStation and Sega Genesis. So when PlayStation came out, like that was my shit. Like I got every game fucking for it ever.
yeah.
So it was just a mix of like fighting games and um like my favorite game now is Metal Gear. I don't know if you're into like shooting games and stuff.
I love shooting games. Like I love Borderlands. I love it feels so good when you hit the little target, right? So
So yeah. But what's your favorite console?
my favorite console. So I'm actually I have this awesome PC right now. So I'm a PC gamer, but I also love the Switch. I have had an Xbox in the past and a PlayStation. I play them all, and I think my favorite right now is the PC because there's so much that you can do with
Mhm.
it. But yeah, what about you?
PlayStation. That's
Do
it.
you
Like
like do you,
there's no
oh yeah,
Xbox.
PlayStation.
I'm not a big PC
You're like,
fan.
I have no loyalty to.
No. No. But so you said that you started during quarantine. Like, was it just kind
Hmm.
of like a off the moment thing? Like, let me just sign up for Twitch and see where this goes. Or did you have like a type of moment of fear? Or was it kind of like because you've already been doing like stage performances, so being in front of people wasn't really like a big deal to you anymore? So you're like, this sounds cool. I like playing games, so let me just do it. Or what made you want to create a Twitch?
So it actually does have to do with my love for performance. So when we couldn't play shows anymore and everything was getting canceled, then I really did feel like I was going crazy because I needed that outlet for me to perform. That's one of my greatest joys is to perform. If it's not telling jokes to my friends or, standing up and making a speech to inspire people. Not that I'm out here inspiring people, but it is something that I like to do. I'm compelled to do these things, um, whether they're moving or not. But but yeah, I just felt like I had to do something. And streaming is just something you can do from your house,
Mhm.
without infecting anyone else and without causing too much trouble. It was just the issue of getting all the gear at first. So once I got over that hump, it was very natural. And getting in front of the camera actually inspires me to have more expression. I know a lot of people they get very shy in front of the camera. Once I'm in front of the camera, I just feel this fire inside of me to express myself. So as I'm expressing myself now, like what do I do with my hands?
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about your outfit. So obviously you're into cosplay because you brought it up a few times. Is that what kind of inspired your looks
Hmm.
too? Because you have both, I would say, like a cosplay look and more. You also have your rock look as well. So what
Yes.
inspired the way you look from? I don't know. I guess it was anime and cosplay, or if you want to talk about your fashion and how you change it up and stuff.
Yes, fashion. So fashion is very dear to me because growing up, I always watched lots of anime where the girls they have the most intricate outfits and just the way that the pieces all coordinate together really bring people joy. But growing up, I always had issues with my body image and I always had issues with my weight and with how I looked, body dysmorphia. And I was very insecure growing up for multiple reasons. But fashion was always something that could bring out my confidence. It was something that could really encourage me because with the body type that I have, which is extremely curvy, it's you can't just wear anything. You have to wear clothes that accentuate your curves and cover them in certain places. It's a lot harder to just go shopping for yourself. So I would empower myself through fashion because I would try to find things that would make me feel confident and feel good about myself, how I looked. And that it just exploded. And a lot of my influences are very avant-garde people who are independent artists like Toshi Salvino. She is a very talented makeup artist. She does very avant-garde looks. and I'm very inspired by Kenzie Show on Instagram. I'm also inspired by Harajuku fashion, like just Japanese street fashion is one of my biggest influences. So I follow a lot of people on Instagram who they express themselves through their coordinations of these very like Decora, how they have those girls who have all the like the clips in their hair and
Mhm.
they're just covered in bracelets and necklaces, colorful. I feel like fashion can really bring magic into the world. Everybody is so afraid to express themselves. Everybody just wants to fit in so they don't get noticed or pointed out and seen in a negative light. But what about dressing up and being yourself so you can actually live life to the fullest? Like,
Mhm.
so if you want to wear a banana suit, why not wear a banana suit? I remember one time I played a show in a banana suit because why not? I had an idea, let's make it happen. You only live once, right? Or I don't know. There's also reincarnation, but that's another thing for another time. Thank you so much for asking me about my fashion, though, Kai. It's really important to me.
Mhm. Well, yeah, I figured because you obviously have you can have different looks, various looks, especially when you're on stage with Astro Alchemy. It's
Hmm.
more dark and more metal looking, you know.
Yes.
So did that come from also like the Japanese type, or was that more of just like more American type things that you've seen?
Yes, definitely more American type things. So definitely the emo bands. I've actually been inspired by people like you, where you wear your awesome leather jackets, and I know that you have amazing style. So like your hair looks amazing right now. I'm
Thank
loving
you.
the blue. Yes. And so I've really been inspired by my peers growing up that were the alternative type of style, people who, they consider themselves gothic or emo or whatever.
Hmm.
And of course, bands like My Chemical Romance. I always wanted to be like the female Gerard Way and dress like him. So yeah, it's definitely less Japanese influence, although they do have, the gothic looks as well, which I love.
Hmm. You
So
know, I had talked to a few friends of mine about this, and it was kind of like during our obviously during your teenage phase, you do try a lot of different things, a lot of different styles. You're trying to find out like what fits you best. You're and as you get older, your style kind of like tightens up, you know. But after
true.
there's a certain age, it's kinda like a lot of people just stop trying to dress up, they stop trying to do their hair, they stop like, even, like, a lot of the bands that we see, now is just it used to be like, "Oh, like, let me put on makeup, let me do my hair, let me do this." It wasn't just performance, it was like, like the fashion, it was all of that, but with a lot of bands now, like, you don't see that as often anymore, like, especially, like, from the '80s to the '90s to, now, during the emo stage, obviously, they dressed up, they had their own certain style. But now it's like you look around, a lot of people our age, they don't dress up anymore. They don't do their hair much anymore. And I guess it's just more like reasons like my job doesn't let me do this, my whatever, or maybe it's like they're thinking like I have to grow up or something like that. And I guess it's just kind of like, what is
Hmm.
your take on it? Like, why do you think people kind of get out of it? Get out of dressing up a certain way, or feel like they need to, maybe like wear button ups or whatever it is, as they get older, especially
That's a
bands.
really good question. Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that is such a good question. Honestly, I haven't thought much about that. I really do feel that it is a lot of fear-based stuff. I think it's because people have been conditioned to feel a certain way where they would fear having individualism,
Hmm.
and they would fear sticking out because if you stick out you can get punished or you can attract the wrong kind of attention or something. People are afraid of that, I think. So I really don't know why people dress like that because I think differently than them. To me, I'm like, why would you do that? You could do whatever you want. You could dress however you like, and people choose to do that. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I really do believe that a lot of people also they talk about dissolving their ego, where they feel that because they've dissolved their ego and they've awakened to a greater form of consciousness where they realize, oh, this is all just physical, superficial aesthetic stuff. Those people, they have dissolved their ego and they feel like they don't have to express themselves because they don't need people to understand who they are. They know who they are. They don't have to show off or whatever. But for me, it's like you can go even farther past that and just think like I should just do this because it makes me happy and it gives me this joy that creates a fulfillment in my life. And sometimes people just don't think like that, I guess. I don't know. That's a really good question that made me think a lot.
I think it's just people allow themselves to get boring, to be honest. I think after high
Yeah, they
school, after
do.
college, yeah, it's just like I guess they get married and whatever else. Which to me, it's like I never liked the traditional type of marriage. You know, the where you you know the white wedding or whatever it is indoors, and then like the ABCs of life. I was never really into that. My thing was just like I want every day to be an adventure. I want to do something different every day. I want to try so many different foods. I want to travel to different countries. I want to live different places. I don't want to stay in the same place. I want to experiment with different things. Like even if
Mhm.
they fail, I still want to try those things because, you know, obviously we only live once and I hate saying that because it's like so many people say that, but I mean it's true.
Yeah,
So
it's true. It's true. It's like don't take
mhm,
it for granted.
yeah. So, where are you? I did want to ask you, are you from Seattle or where are you from exactly?
Yeah, so I was born in Seattle, but my dad was in the Navy for 12 years as a lieutenant commander. So he actually moved us a lot when I was young, and I only stayed in Seattle for a year as a baby. And
Oh, okay.
of course, I wasn't making these decisions. I was being taken by force against my will, and I got taken to California. I lived there for a while, and then I actually lived in the Philippines with my mom for
Mm,
3 months, and that was an amazing experience. And then after that, at about 8 years old, I stayed in Texas, and I've been in Houston since then. And I am about to be 28. So I've been in Houston for like 20 years. It's crazy.
so what did you like about those places? What city was it first in California that you moved to?
So we moved to Oakland and Alameda, and I don't remember those places at all, other than the friends that I had and just, just
Mm,
little toddler things. But I really liked living in the Philippines because it was still a third world country back then. I'm not sure how it is now, but I know it's a lot more commercialized. It's a
mm,
lot more driven towards hospitality industry. And so back then we actually lived in the forest. It was like a rainforest where there was huge snake holes that were like this big, and then you would just see them on the side of the hill, and people would be like, yeah, there's an anaconda that just lives there. And but I remember we lived in the forest, and the houses were made out of like trash and random pieces of wood and concrete and cement, just random materials that these people would create together. And the children would wash themselves outside in the open for everyone to see, because they don't think about things the way that we do over here. And well, at least back then, they didn't think about it how we do over here in America. And so that was really fascinating. And like I went to a church there that had no walls. It was literally just a roof and pillars. And everywhere we would go, people would gather and would stare at us because we had light skin compared to them. And back then, it wasn't as common for Americans to come over and to have children that were mixed between Filipino and American. So
mm.
all these people would look at us and they would give us chocolate and they'd be like, "Oh, these beautiful babies, guapa." That's I think that's beautiful in Tagalog. So I really loved living in the Philippines. And then of course Houston, there's so much here. There's so much culture. It's just a beautiful place. Like you live in Las Vegas right now?
Yes.
Or do you go back and forth back to Houston?
I try not to, to be honest, like, cause I guess, cause
Really?
uh, I guess I'm just kind of over Houston already. Like, I just been there for too long. I know what everything looks like there, and it's too flat for me. So I do like, you know, waking up and I see the mountains right
Mhm.
here, and it's like I never had that experience
I
before.
want to see mountains.
Hmm.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
So
So
so you live near the mountains right now.
yeah, I do. I'm actually like 5, 10 minutes from it. So it actually just snowed here, probably I think like 3, 4, 5 days ago, something like that. And so I wake up and I see snow and it's just like a lot of snow. I'm just like, what the fuck? And, like it's so cool because you don't see that in Houston, you know? I think it probably
Oh my
snowed in
gosh, you
Houston what
don't.
like twice in a couple of decades or something.
I think so. I honestly don't even remember when it snowed. But that's so beautiful. Honestly, I've been to Colorado before, and that's my next step is I would love to just move to a place where there are mountains and live where I could see them from my window, because it's true that Houston is very flat. And something interesting that I've heard is they say that people who are introverted and they're more insightful and they think a lot more than they just express without thinking, those
Mhm.
introverted people are more compelled to like living around mountains versus people who are more extroverted and they just say whatever without really thinking about it. They're okay with living in a flat place. So I thought that was very interesting because I like to think of myself as an introvert, and I know a lot of introverts that do like the mountains. And it kind of makes sense because there's depth, and there's so much more to ponder when you're looking at this vast vision of peaks and dips and textures. So that's very cool that you live by the mountains. Very cool.
Yeah, and that was another reason too why I had to leave Texas because it was like I had to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to anywhere. Everything is kind of like so far apart from each other. Even your friends like live on all sides of town. So
Hmm.
it was just kind of
Yeah.
like a pain trying to see them all the time, you know?
Yeah, it's really sad. There's friends that I haven't seen in so long because they live so just on the other side of Houston, and they don't want to make the drive. It's funny.
Mm,
It is a very big, widespread city.
yeah. So shifting topics, getting back into your music, I did want to ask, we
Okay.
talked about this earlier. What are some of the harder parts of your journey as a musician? Like what did you struggle with? You said a little bit about what you struggled with before. I don't know if you want to talk more about that. But
Sure.
your struggles personally, your struggles as a musician, were there any times you wanted to give up, feeling unmotivated? Like what were the hard parts
Yes.
of everything you do?
So something I think the hardest part for me is definitely just the mental health aspect behind it, because as I'm sure you know that things like depression and anxiety can really hinder a person's creative process. And something that I do to help me with this, because I've tried to do counseling and all sorts of stuff for my mental health. I try to eat well and exercise and get outside and do as much as I can to really fight off depression and make it so that way I have a fighting chance to think in a more productive and healthy way. But something that is really special about feeling so deeply and having all these emotions is that you can take these emotions and create art through the emotions, right? And we see that with musicians all the time. But that's something I was really doing, was whenever something in my life would evoke these strong feelings within me, I would take those strong feelings and I would just push them into the music that I was creating, and I would actually write the song based off of those events. So all of my music is based off of true things that have happened in my life, that my true feelings. They're not just made up scenarios. It's kind of like alchemy, when you take something and you transform it into something beautiful. You take a tragedy, transform it into something beautiful. I feel like that's what my music is I take my horrible mental health, or the way I think, or my emotions, or the things in my life, the tragedies, the chaos, the beauty, and I transform it into this piece of music that other people could probably relate to. Maybe they feel lonely and the song's about being lonely or something, then maybe they can relate to it and feel better. So that is definitely the hardest part, I think, about creating, is just having those mental blocks, because you feel so depressed that you can't motivate yourself to get up and do something productive.
Mm,
Another thing that really helps too is just trying to be very disciplined, and even if I don't feel like doing something, I still try to force myself, because once you get over that hump and you get the inertia going, then that's when you're creating again. And that creation ends up making you feel better in the long run anyways. I find that I get even more depressed if I'm not creating music.
mm.
So it's really the mental health that's the biggest problem.
So you said being lonely. Is that an experience that you are familiar with as a
Yes.
musician or just personally, or would you like to talk more about that? Because I like the specifics. If you don't want to get too
Yeah.
specific, that's fine. But it's just like because one of the reasons why I like talking to people about their struggles is because a lot of people, especially on social media, they want to portray everything as fucking everything is good. Everything like I'm successful. I have this. I have that. Look, I'm with my friends at the club and we're having a good time. And
Hmm.
now I'm here, and it's just kind of like it's all fake, and I really hate it because it's like it doesn't really show you anything. It's superficial. It's like you don't really get to know anybody on social media. You don't get to know what everybody's going through, and even a lot of the people that I become a part of, like a community wise, like in the personal development community, it's
Hmm.
like all they want to portray is just like they have money, like their business is doing well, that this is going on. Like I have this car, I have this much money, whatever it is, and it's just kind of like okay, nobody can relate to you really anymore. Like you try to
Yeah.
act perfect and you try to act all like you have everything figured out. And it's just like I feel like the real meat of life, the real like where people can relate to you is in the parts where you mess up, the parts where you struggle with. And that's why I like talking specifically about those things for anybody who because one of my main things I like doing is I like helping kids a lot because I didn't
Aw.
really yeah, I didn't really have that help growing up as a kid myself. And it was really fucking hard because I was trying to figure out everything on my own and I wanted to help other kids, you know, like maybe they don't have to go through it by having other people like that's why I have so many people like of different fields on my podcast because I want to give them advice from these people who have accomplished things already. So
Yeah.
what were those things that, you know, like you had to deal with personally or like you said loneliness, are there any other things like specifics you want to get into?
Just over my whole life or just recently or just with music?
Yeah, I
Um,
guess if you want to say like how, you know, how sometimes they kind of blend into each other, like let's say especially after you're going after a goal, you know, you're chasing your dream as a musician. Like what things got in the way? Did you have to sacrifice anything, make any sacrifices, give up friends, give up time? You know.
yeah, I've had to let go of some friends who were not in alignment with my vision. You know, people that I worked with musically who they were not necessarily corrupting the music, but they were changing it too much from the initial idea, or they weren't working as efficiently as I would like, or as they promised me that they would. You know, people like that, I I do have to let them go because not that I'm just focusing on only myself, but it's also music is kind of like a business almost. Your brand building is kind of like a business, and I want to just be around people or work with people who are very productive, and their view of work and their view of life and energy, it has to align with my vision as well for us to really work. So I have let people go because of things like that. But as for loneliness, I have experienced a lot of loneliness. Like right now I live by myself,
Mm,
and I'm learning to be an adult that doesn't need other people to feel fulfilled in life, to feel complete. So, yes, I have felt a lot of loneliness, and that's actually where one of my songs comes from, is from the loneliness I felt.
mhm,
But it is kind of it's like tough love from the universe teaching me how to be independent and be whole on my own. So other issues too is like you were saying how you didn't have support whenever you were growing up, and that's interesting that you said that, and that actually really resonated with my heart when you said that, because I also had a very similar upbringing where, ironically, with music, my mom and, well, both my parents, but really it was my mother, she would not support my music at all. She'd never every time I would sing to her, she would tell me to quit music because I was not good at singing and it didn't sound good. She told me that she wouldn't pay for my lessons, but she would pay for my guitar lessons and my piano lessons, but she wouldn't pay for my vocal lessons, so I had to teach myself how to sing. And I just used free resources and random, like lessons from random people who would just say one or two things like, "Oh, if you're singing through your nose or you're singing through your throat, you need to sing through your diaphragm." Little pointers like that.
mm,
But yeah, it was actually really hard for me to be a singer, even though I naturally wanted to sing. Like I was saying before, I was just born singing, because my parents didn't tell me that it was something, or they didn't encourage me to believe in it. They wanted me to, focus on getting a job, or, you have to go to college, that sort of thing, which I did go to college and I did get a job, but now I get to focus on my dreams. Now I get to focus on my music because I have that stability that they were wanting and that I needed in order to establish myself to be able to have my own place, buy the gear, that sort of thing. But I just
mhm,
wonder sometimes, what would it have been like if I had parents that believed in me and that encouraged me, and they said things with unconditional love, or even in a nice way,
mhm,
So if there are people out there who if there are kids out there and they have similar things where they have dreams and their parents aren't supporting them, their peers are laughing at them, I just want to tell those kids that are listening that it's your life, and you can do whatever you want with it, really. And at the end of the day, are you happy with yourself? Are you happy with your choices? Because every single day is important for your progress. Every single day you can put forth work and you can continuously dream, but put forth the action as well. And, the younger you start, the better it is, definitely. But it's also never too late to start on anything. So if you're 40 now and you're listening to this and you've always wanted to be a singer, today is the day to start. Right now is the time to start. Don't wait until tomorrow where you could get hit by a bus and die. Sorry, that got really dark.
It's all good.
But yeah, but
Mhm,
it breaks my heart to think about people who are discouraged because of their environment, you know and that's another thing too. You were talking about how people, they sometimes are too perfect on the internet where it's hard for others to relate. That is so true because I feel like that does discourage people. I think those people should focus on educating other people on how they got to that point. Sharing their wealth and sharing their success by educating people and showing them it is possible. You can do whatever you want as long as you try hard and you make your goals and you pass up your goals and you stay disciplined. So
mhm.
yeah, that's my input on that.
I like that because one of the things that you did say, because I do like talking about this a lot, especially about parents. It's I said this before in a few of my podcast episodes. It's like I feel like a lot of our life is really undoing a lot of the shit that our parents put into us unconsciously or consciously,
Yes.
whatever it is, and it sucks because it's like, because I hear this all the time. It's like, yeah, I love my parents, but I don't feel like they set me up for success. They didn't help me, gain confidence. They didn't instill that confidence in me. They didn't help me find my direction in life. They didn't encourage my direction in life. And it's just fucked. Because I
Mhm.
hear that so many times, and it's like a lot of times they just let the school raise them. They don't actively take interest in their
Yeah.
child. Like, what is it that you like? They don't talk to their child. Like, what is it you like? How can I help you? Like, fuck what the school says about your kid. Like, you should know your kid better than the school does. Don't let the school tell you what.
Yes.
Because that was my thing. It was like I always hated school. I always knew that. Like, I did well in school, but it's just I just felt like it was never for me. Like, college was never for me. Especially if you're trying to
Mhm.
become like something in the arts. Like, it can help you in certain ways, but for like
Yeah. Yeah.
business and entrepreneurship and other things, it just kind of crushes a lot of creativity, trying to make try like kind of makes you conform and be like everybody else. And it's just I just never liked the way that, the parenting was or the way the school system was and stuff. So I feel like it
Yeah.
kills like a lot of dreams and stuff. But but
It
yeah.
really does. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I do agree that like I always tell people that your 20s is about undoing the conditioning that you had from your parents until you were, 18, until you became an adult. I really do feel that yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing right now, where I'm trying to learn to feel confidence and to feel the love and that I need to feel and feel complete and not have anger um or just like or do things that my parents would do that, like you said, it subconsciously is instilled into you, and you kind of your whole brain forms based off of this life growing up. Like, you're literally, your brain doesn't stop developing until you're 25, right? So it's like you're literally rewiring yourself to feel fear-based feelings or to associate this and that or whatever. So it's
Mhm.
very interesting that you brought that up. I love thinking about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's kind of fucked because it's kind
Consciousness.
of like you shouldn't have to deal with the crap that your parents like. It, for example, there's every person has their own crap and insecurities that they have to deal with. But it's one thing to deal with it yourself, but then it's another to completely like push those insecurities and those problems onto your child and then have them deal with it and possibly repeat the same process that you're going through. And a lot of parents do that. And it's really fucked up. But
Hmm.
another one question I wanted to ask you was, how was your fear of judgment? How did you get over that? How did you get better? Like, what was it like when you first started doing what you're doing? Like when you first
Hmm.
started, like saying, "Hey, I want to put my music out. Hey, I want to do this. I want to be more open about what I like doing." Was there any fear of judgment? And if so, what was it like? And then how did you get over it as time went?
So I don't. Hmm. So I've always had fear of judgment over myself as a person. I've always been really shy because of that. But when it came to my singing, I don't know. I just became a diva whenever I would sing. So I remember in high school, I saw my friends, they were watching this girl play guitar and sing on YouTube. and they were so enamored by her talent, and she was really good. But I kept on thinking to myself that, I could do this kind of stuff too. I could make YouTube videos because I play guitar and I sing, and I think I'm cute, whatever. And I always had that confidence of like, you know what, I can do that too, and I want to show the world what I can do. And I have so much confidence in my art and what I'm creating that that's why I want to show the world. That's why I want the attention on whatever I'm creating, because I believe in it so much. It's like my little baby. I want it to have the love that it deserves. And it's always kind of been like that where, I would put stuff out and I would sing. I've listened to some of my old stuff and I'm like, really, I wish I was more humble at the time, because I would literally go into these projects and just think, you know what, I'm the shit. I'm the best. I can do no wrong. And I would sing without warming up my vocals, or I would sing kind of pitchy. But when you're in that state of mind, you can't even hear the pitchiness because you think it's just perfect already. So I actually had the kind of opposite effect where I was overly confident and I needed to find humility and I needed to kind of check myself. And one of the things that really helped me find that, because so I don't think I've ever really been insecure about my singing, right?
Mm,
But there was a time whenever I was kind of insecure about performing on stage because of course I had like the body issues, and just I didn't like people looking at me too much. Like I was okay with them hearing me sing or like creating a video, but then the live performance, that's so different. And so I would drink whenever I would perform. And then I started watching videos of myself and I realized, wow, like I look very sloppy. I'm singing pitchy because I'm drunk. And I started to realize if I really am passionate about something, I shouldn't have to drink to be comfortable performing. I should just do it on stage and take it seriously as like a job or a fun job. But like I said
mm,
before, brand building is like a business. You
right.
can't just get up on stage and be all willy nilly about what you're doing. You have to
Mhm,
perform the best of your abilities, be completely prepared, that sort of thing. And so yeah, so I did have confidence issues where I needed alcohol, but that is no longer an issue.
mm.
Thankfully. Thank
How did
goodness.
you get over it? Like, what made you? Because I know a lot of girls, especially, struggle with their body image. How was it that you started, or do you still have a problem with it now, or are you better?
I do have bouts of body dysmorphia, but
Mm,
I think it's just because of the way I used to, or at least even the conditioning of growing up. Like, I was telling you that our brains wire themselves based off of how, like, our lives and how we're thinking. I feel
mm,
like my brain was so wired in that fear based thinking growing up that sometimes I do revert back where I'm feeling confident and I'm feeling great. And then all of a sudden, I just get that voice in my head of the self doubt, and I start to really question myself and I think way too much about, oh, is this, does this look like pudge, like what is this, what is that? And when you focus on it too much, that's when those things amplify themselves, and the body dysmorphia is really a bitch for that. But sorry, okay, you said we can say bad words, so thank you, Kai.
mm. You're good, yeah.
Yes, we have the freedom.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got over it through working out, um, eating healthy, through the fashion, of course, and also streaming on Rainbow Priestess, really, because I did not have really good self confidence when I first started Rainbow Priestess, but the amount of support and love that I got for doing what I love, that really encouraged me to believe in myself because I wanted to see what they were seeing. They saw a star in me. So why can't I see a star in me? Why can't I be proud of myself or think I'm beautiful? And that really encouraged me to just open my eyes and just think I'm beautiful. And another thing too, to anyone who's listening and watching, if you have self-doubt days, literally go to the mirror naked or with clothes. I
Mhm,
like to do it naked. You go there and you tell yourself, I am beautiful. You are a bad bitch and you are beautiful. And you have this. You literally just talk to yourself and you fake it till you make it. You just keep telling yourself over and over and over again, and you force yourself to believe it. And eventually it becomes habitual, right? It only takes like 30 days for a habit to form for the average human. It's what I've read somewhere.
mm,
I've heard from other people it's 20 or something, but yeah, that you just got to fake it till you make it, and eventually you believe yourself, and it becomes reality.
mm.
So
You're talking about affirmations pretty much, essentially.
Yeah, affirmations. Yeah.
That's
And
pretty
just
cool.
self love. Like people need that.
That's pretty cool because you're saying a lot of things. Like I see anybody that is serious about chasing their passion or chasing a goal. It's like even if they don't study personal development itself, it's like there's still a lot of the same key elements in that, that they find as they're growing up. Like you said, you have to at times get rid of friends. You have to lose friends. You have to lose time. Sometimes you have to lose sleep. Sometimes you can't go out to your friends, whatever it is that they're doing or whatever. Like especially toxic friends and people who don't support you. It's like I'm amazed at how many people keep in their life like people who don't support them, people who don't really want to see them going anywhere. Because it's like when I
Mm-hmm.
was first trying to move out and do something better for myself, I had those group of friends who were like, they didn't really want me to go. It wasn't because obviously they wanted me to, they wanted me to still be around so we could do the same stuff together. But it was more like they didn't want me to really achieve anything, or they didn't want me. It's kind of like they wanted me to stay stuck in the same place for their benefit, for like selfish
Yeah.
reasons. So
Oh my God. That's so relatable. It's scary.
yeah, yeah. And that's what I mean, like,
Oh,
there are the same patterns and key elements. But, I did want
yeah.
you to say something to, other girls, I guess, that are possibly struggling with body image problems. You did say one thing. Is there anything else that helped you, along the way beside, like, affirmations and, other things like that? Like, what are some other things that helped you? Like, for example, because one of the main questions I wanted to ask you is, how has your music and you as a person evolved and developed from when you first started, like, whatever age you want to say that you picked up doing this, like when you first started realizing like I really want to make this something serious, I want to chase after this, like how did you develop from then to now? You said a few things already, but is there anything else you want to throw in
Mhm.
there?
I think, well, I guess whenever I first started really playing shows, which was 16 years old, and I was doing like my solo stuff or the emo music or the rock and metal, eventually, all that stuff, I kind of, in my head, I wasn't 100% throwing myself into it because I was afraid of rejection. I was afraid of getting hurt or of being disappointed. But as you get older, you you stop fearing that, and I mean, at least for me, I just want to throw myself 100% into everything I put myself into because there is no other way. You can't just half-ass your way to the top. You can't just slack off and be lazy. You have to work hard. And I really do believe that when you put in as much work as you possibly can, the universe fills in the gaps and does the rest for you and allows you to get those connections that you need, that you attract those to you because you're doing the physical work. And so sorry, I kind of got a little bit off topic. I kind of went
No,
on a
no, it's
tangent.
good. Yeah, it's fine.
But yeah, and I just, and then as I get older too, I'm like, well, I also want to be more sophisticated with my words. I don't want to just release. I don't like to release songs that have lots of curse words in them, or they're written about things that I have not experienced or I don't feel deeply about. So
Hmm.
my music is just developing more into better songwriting. The actual songwriting itself, I feel, is getting more sophisticated. And
Uh-huh.
then I'm writing more about real world adult issues instead of when I was a teenager, I would write about like, oh, like my, I'm rebelling because my parents didn't let me wear my favorite pants or something silly like that.
Yeah.
These are songs that come from my soul that a lot of people can relate to. And yeah, I think it's just a part of your adulthood where you realize I'm wasting time. I'm not getting any younger, and every day goes by faster and faster. You have to put forth that action now. So I think that's why I really got serious about it.
Mhm.
So
Perfect. And I guess a few more quick questions before we go on to our special, um, I guess, present. I would like to say present because it's pretty cool. Because you're actually going to be my first person that's going to do this. So on my podcast. So
okay,
yeah.
okay,
So
cool.
before we get into that, just a few quick questions about things we brought up. Um,
Okay.
w- Favorite animes.
Okay. My favorite anime, sorry, you can hear my Texas accent. So my favorite anime
Mhm,
is Fairy Tale or Fairy Teru, which is what they say it in Japanese. That's how it sounds. That's my favorite anime because It's all about the power of friendship. I love animes where they're a big group or a team and they all have different powers, like, in Sailor Moon. And but with fairy tale, the characters, they're all just so wholesome and they're also different. And I don't know, have you seen fairy tale, Kai?
No, I haven't.
Really, you should check it out. It's one of those ones where you could cry because of the really touching moments in there, and it's just every lesson or every episode has a lesson behind it. Every episode has like some awesome character development. I love that anime. And I actually went to Anime Matsuri in Houston a few years ago, and I accidentally ran into another fairy tale cosplayer because I was cosplaying as Erza. So they pointed me out. They were like, "Hey, you're doing fairy tale. We're having a shoot. Come meet with us at this time." And I go outside of the George R. Brown Convention Center and I see this like mob of fairy tale characters. And all those people were so sweet. Like they fairy tale fans are the nicest people ever because it's a wholesome anime. So that's my favorite anime of all time. What about you?
Death Note would still be mine. Like
Death Note. Oh,
I wish they made more seasons. I mean, it ended fine. It ended well. Like but it's one of those ones you want it to just keep going, and it sucks that it didn't. So
yeah. Oh, that does suck.
yeah.
That's a
So
good one.
top three favorite bands.
Okay, this is so hard. Okay, so my top three favorite bands.
Mhm,
They're always changing, and I go through periods where I just like singers and stuff, and I think one of my top three. Okay, so I can't really put it in order, but definitely one of my top three is in this moment
mhm,
because she is just absolutely she's like a different level of existence. She's a different type of human where she can channel all sorts of different energies. Another one of my favorites. I know a lot of people are not on the same wavelength, but I've really been into Ashnigo a lot because I think that she's just adorable. I think she's cute and her music is very catchy and I do get a lot of influence from her music on my music just because she uses a lot of cool effects and her beats are just sick. And then another band that I really love. Oh, this is so hard. Why would you ask me this, Kai? It's so hard for me to like decide on things. Um, I've been listening to a lot of Beyonce lately, just honestly,
mhm,
just from the top of my head, but I can't even make a cool band that I've been listening to. No, I've been listening to a lot of Beyonce and just a lot of her more soulful work, not so much the pop stuff, but
mhm,
like if, for example, something if you wanted to listen to it later, I love her song Bigger. I've been listening to that for the past couple of days and I cry every time I listen to it. I've just been listening to sad music, really, but I cry when I listen to it because she talks about how she's always singing to her daughter
mhm,
about how her daughter should just love herself and that she's actually a powerful being with a divine plan for her. But a lot of times we are put under the illusion that we're lesser than other people. So her song is about encouraging her daughter in that sort of way. And it makes me cry because I feel like it heals a part of me. Like I told you before, I never had the encouragement from my parents or my mother in that sort of way. So Beyonce is really she's really been inspiring me a lot. And also just the way that she writes her music, her more sensual, slower music like that song Bigger I was telling you.
mhm.
That's how I kind of write my music. It's a story and it's very emotional and sensual. So
Okay.
I I hope that
Yeah,
those
no, no,
three
that's
music
that's fine.
choices will
That's
suffice.
good. All right, and this is
They're
one
so
question.
different.
That's fine. This is one question I do like asking a lot of people that's been on. Um, I didn't think I'd
Mhm.
ask you this question, but after everything we talked about, it's pretty cool. What are your specific keys to success? So everybody, like, hey, what is success to you, and what is your specific keys to success?
So success to me is, I mean, it's such a broad term that it can really encompass so many things, but to me, success is literally just anytime you achieve your goals. And once you get success, you're constantly having to get more success. You can't just rest on your laurels and say, oh, well, I posted that video a year ago and it was really successful. Like no, I feel like we constantly have to be working for success, but that state of being so confident in yourself and being so happy with what you're doing and having purpose, I feel like that is you being successful. Because like when you're in that state of being, you encourage other people to be successful, and you're not, like you were saying before, how you had some friends that didn't want you to be successful. They were like kind of weighing you down and you had to move past them. I feel like people like that, they're unsuccessful because they're constantly tearing other people down to their level, or they have to discourage people because they don't like where they are at in their life, and they want to have some sort of control over you because you have that potential and you are doing work and you want to be successful, and therefore you are successful because you're doing the work. It's
Hmm.
I feel like that is what success is. And for me, the key to my success, which I don't consider well, I feel like I am successful because I get to do what I'm loving. Of course, obviously I'm not anywhere where I want to be, but I feel like I have that potential in me, and because I'm doing everything that I can be doing, I am successful. But for me, a lot of it has to do with how you think and how you see the world. I feel like the right mindset is key to achieving success and for striving for success and to be great. I feel like you have to constantly be positive, and you have to believe in yourself, believe in your art. You have to have that discipline. And what I like to say too is through discipline we have freedom, because when you discipline yourself to work out a certain amount of times, you have a goal to do it a certain amount of times per week, and you do it, then later on you have that freedom to wear whatever you want because you feel more confident because you had the discipline to do the work. You know what I mean? So there's like
Hmm.
this weird connection between discipline and freedom. And so discipline, I think, is very important. And then, of course, just surrounding yourself with positive people who believe in you and who are doing their own things to be successful too. Like you were
Hmm.
saying, sometimes we have to let go of the people that weigh us down. Energy is very, very contagious.
Hmm.
And something from working in like the corporate world is they talk about for managers that you want to get rid of your employees that don't align with the way you think. They're negative, because those negative people, their energy is contagious to other people and it will catch on. And it's actually one of the most detrimental things that can happen to a company is you keep the wrong kind of people and they spread their energy to other people and bring everyone down. So I feel like
Hmm.
another key is to just really only surround yourself with people who can bring you up and who can keep you on track and really encourage you and not deter you from your goals. And then another thing,
Hmm.
of course, too, is planning out your goals. Always plan things out and really stick to them. So
I
I
like
hope
it.
that is a good answer for you.
Yeah, I like it because I like when people are,
Good.
because like you said, everybody has their own definition of success, and
Hmm.
I don't think success. I mean, for a lot of people, it can be vague. Something like, "Well, I want to be rich and have a lot of money," and it's kind of like that's not, that can be an idea of success, but it's not really, like I'd rather be happy and doing what I love and helping people along the way. Like for me,
Yeah.
that's my version of success. And if I make money along the way, fucking awesome. Um, but it's the unique, specific keys that everybody has from their own lives, from their own journey that I love hearing about. So,
Yeah.
and last question is, what is music? What does music mean to you?
Music to me is music to me is like magic. And it's this amazing phenomenon, right? It's constantly transforming like water. You can have a concept and then you play with it a few times or you add instruments to it or something and it completely changes. And then as time passes, it changes even more. So it's just interesting trying to take this ethereal chunk of sound waves and then putting it into a recording and then saying this is how it's supposed to sound, because it is this magical sensation really that can transform people. And one of the things that really I love about music, it has to do with my other passion, which I love Greek mythology. And one of my most favorite stories is the story of Orpheus. And I love to tell this to everybody because if I'm correct, based off of my humanities classes, they say that in ancient Greece, the word for music actually directly translated to mean magic, because they felt that if you could create music, you could manipulate humans. And they actually created this document called the Doctrine of Ethos, that was a rule book for the ancient Greece people of how to perform music, so that way it could just be good for dancing and singing, because they realized with the power of music, you could make people do all sorts of stuff. I mean, you hear music nowadays, very sexual music that, which I like that. I like all sorts of music. Really, I'm not dissing on it, but I'm just saying that through the power of music, you can put on very simple beats and simple singing and all this, and suddenly people are feeling like, angry or sexual or really happy and all. It really does change our mood. And so people over time, we've forgotten how powerful music is, and that it is like magic, and that we have to use it responsibly to teach other people to create good feelings. So to me, oh yes, the story of Orpheus. I totally got distracted from that, but yes. So the doctrine of ethos is a part of Greek mythology. But another story is the story of Orpheus. He was such a skilled musician that he could that he was the only human, the only mortal being to make Hades of the underworld feel anything. And what had happened was his wife was stolen, so he had to go to Hades to get his wife's soul back, and he put Cerberus, the guard dog, to sleep with his music. And then whenever he went to Hades, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this, but whenever he went to Hades, he performed and he sang for Hades. And Hades actually, for the first time ever, felt empathy for human life. He felt emotions and he felt the sadness of mortals, because when you're a god, you don't feel like the pain of mortality, of death, of losing someone, because everyone's immortal, right? So he was able to learn empathy and to learn human emotions through the music that Orpheus was creating. And because of that, he allowed Orpheus to take his wife back to the mortal realm. So I think about stuff like that, how the ancient Greek people, they thought music was so powerful that they created a rule book about it, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what music is to me. To me, it's this powerful force. It's a musician is just, they are someone who channels the energy of the universe and they turn it into something tangible for other people who would have never heard that music in the first place. It's crazy. And
I
that
like it.
is music 101.
All right. And so now we get to our special performance. So everybody listening, we have she's actually going to sing a song for us. So
Okay.
if you want to tell
I'm so
people,
nervous.
well, so
Sorry.
what is the song you'll be singing for us today?
Okay, I'm going to sing my new song Transforming. So
Mhm.
I actually pulled up the music right here. Let me make sure that it's good. And okay, we are going to do this now. I'm sorry, I'm like all of a
All
sudden I'm
right.
really nervous.
No, you're good. So just let me know when you're ready, and then I'll give you the mic, and I'll mute myself and all that. So,
Okay, let me go ahead and set it up for you.
all right.
And so I'm going to sit a little bit back just so I'm not screaming at this. Okay, so this song is called Transforming, and I am going to make it work. Uh,
Mhm.
all right,
All right.
let
You
me get a
ready?
little, yes, I'm going to drink some water. Sorry.
Are you nervous?
I'm so nervous. I'm so
It's
nervous.
okay. It's okay. You're only going to be heard in about 13 countries, so it's not that
Mhm.
big of a deal.
Oh, just a little bit of pressure. Just 13 countries. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
14
all.
countries.
And so for everybody else listening, you can also catch us on Spotify, on Google Podcasts. Recently, we actually got accepted to go on iHeartRadio, so you can check it out on there as well. There will be a
Ooh.
YouTube video for the people who like the audio. I'm gonna post it on social media as well. And after we have the performance, and I'll let you explain where people can follow you at as well.
Okay, excellent. Okay. All right, so I have it right here. I'm so sorry about
All
that,
right.
Kai.
Are you
So
sure?
let me
You
go
good?
ahead. I'm
You got it?
Gucci. All right, this should be
Okay,
it.
okay. All right.
Okay. Here we go. So this is my song Transforming.
All right.
It's a cruel world filled with storm clouds, individuals who try to bring me down. I used to be too scared to be myself, so let me open up for once. Yeah, I'm a bad baby, you don't even know. You've only seen the side I want to show ya. I don't care anymore for what people think about me now. I'm constantly transforming. You don't even know me. Whoa. I'm constantly transforming. You don't even know me. Yeah. I deserve better than what you're giving me. Words like razors cut me open, free me, baby. I'm constantly transforming. Whoa, you don't even know me. Oh, I'm constantly transforming, and you don't even know me. You think you know me, but I'm transforming. I'm a wildfire begging to be unleashed, but you bore me. You wish you could handle me. I'm a star-filled galaxy. I'm another worldly entity, but you don't even know me. I'm a savage on fire, burning up from inside. I'll only get higher. I don't care what you say, no, I don't mind. You know my face is just too angelic to cry. Oh, give me what I want, no more lies, because you owe me and it's mine. Oh, and don't you try to run or hide, and don't you ever waste my time. Whoa, I'm constantly transforming. You don't even know me. Whoa, I'm constantly transforming. You don't even know me. I deserve better than what you're giving me. Words like razors cut me open, free me, baby. I'm constantly transforming. Whoa, you don't even know me. Yeah, I'm constantly transforming. You don't even know me. Yeah, you don't even know me. Yeah, so that was it.
I love that. Awesome. How do you feel?
I feel so good. Whenever I sing, I feel like this crazy sensation comes over me where this calm comes.
Mhm.
So I feel really good.
Awesome. So where can people follow you at?
Oh, where can people follow me at?
Yes.
So right now I only have stuff on YouTube. You just go to YouTube, type up Angel Embers, and I have two songs right now, Transforming, and my very first song was Good Girl. So they're both very chill R&B lo-fi type of songs. I have a new song I'm actually recording today that should be released next week, so I'm excited about that, and it's going to be on the YouTube.
Mhm.
And eventually, I'd like to move on to do maybe some more pop stuff or a more high energy kind of music that's still along the same lines of like electric instruments and the beats are like this.
Yeah.
And eventually, hopefully, I can distribute my music to Spotify and SoundCloud and all those things. But yeah,
Mhm.
YouTube for now.
Okay, awesome. What about social media? Is there any thing you want to add to social media, or you just kind of want to keep that off the record?
Oh, so for social media, there is a Facebook page. Just look up Angel Embers, and then I also have an Instagram that I just started. My personal Instagram is something I'm inviting people to as well, where I do post the Angel Embers updates. That one is rainbow.priestess on Instagram. And there you can really see a lot of the behind the scenes shots of the outfits and the recording studio sessions, things like that. It's more of my personal day to day activity blog. And
Mhm.
eventually I will get my Angel Embers Instagram set up for just music stuff.
Okay, awesome.
Yes.
And last question,
Mhm.
where is this going? What is your ultimate vision for where you want to take your gifts and your talents?
I want to go all the way to the top. I would like to say that I would be very interested in being a part of the industry and being an actual professional where I can tour and make lots of albums. Whenever things do get better, where touring is more acceptable, that has always been one of my dreams is to do an international tour. And I do have a lot of supporters already in places like Ireland, the Philippines. I have people in Switzerland, Japan, um, South America. There's a lot of different people from different countries there. So through these connections, I'm hoping that I can grow internationally because that's essentially what I want to do. I'm no longer focusing on the local Houston scene. I'm
Mhm.
focusing on the whole entire United States and then other countries as well. Kind of like you are, like you're in 13 different countries. And so like thank you so much for having me here and letting me have the opportunity to reach out to these other countries. And I hope that you guys like it. No, I'm just kidding. Like, please listen to my music. Please support the arts, and stay tuned because there will be so much more. This is just the beginning.
Awesome. Well, I love it. Thank you again for coming on. Thank you for,
Yes.
performing for me, like for the first time for all of our guests. I hope you enjoyed it. Again, you can catch
Oh,
this on my new YouTube channel. You can follow me there. You can follow her. I'll leave the links below as well. You can check us out on iHeartRadio, Google Chromecast, Google Podcast, Spotify, a few other places. And yeah, again, thank you again for joining.
yes.
And
Thank
everybody
you
else,
again, Kai.
any last words?
Any last words? Okay, so my famous last words are that you need to believe in yourself right now and do whatever you can to live your best life right now. Don't wait until tomorrow for some solar flare to engulf and kill us all. I'm just kidding. No, really, anything can happen. You could die tomorrow. You could die right now. I don't know. But yes, what you do today allows you to have the future that you want tomorrow. And the future belongs to those who put forth that work today. So get to work, really think about what you want to do with your life, and do what makes you happy because this life is important and you can't take it for granted. So that's all I wanted to say, Kai. Some
Perfect.
last words.
All right. Everybody else, thank you for joining us and check out the other episodes, and we will see you again soon. Take care.
All right. Bye.